Greetings and welcome back to Business Communications, where this week we're diving into primary research. It's important that you focus deeply on this chapter as the concepts, the resources, and the tools introduced will be key as it applies to your social media report. So let's dive on in. As we start looking and diving into finding and evaluating business information, it's important that we understand 5 very basic topics. First of all, how do you determine what information you'll need? This is identifying the audience, the concerns, the needs, the questions that they expect to be answered. Establishing the scope of the research. Also, your limitations. For your social media report, for example, one of the limitations is direct access to corporate information, or it could be just the short amount of time expected to collect the information and report out. Define your research activities. What will you be doing? Well, you've already begun. You've begun by selecting your company, doing a little research on the tools available, the mission, the vision, and what social media is currently being used. Developing a work plan. What questions will you ask? What activities will you perform? And how you organize your time so you can complete it effectively. Next, we want to consider how do you conduct your research in print or online resources, and what will you use? Using web search engines strategically, using deep web portals, library resources available to you at ARC, online index or databases to find articles and business-related data. The library that we have, or booksellers to find relevant books, is also helpful. However, sometimes the minute things are printed, they're out of date. Follow leads in good sources, understanding reliable resources. Just because it's on the internet doesn't make it true. Evaluating your sources for credibility is key. Understanding the author, when it was created. Are they a reputable source? Learning how to trust information and find information that is accurate is key to effective research. Thirdly, how do you conduct primary research? This is where I want your energy to really go this week. In fact, I'm going to make your key word or phrase for the week: primary research. Primary research is composed and identified by creating a survey, conducting an interview, or an observational research. This is key information, as your next SMR Part 4 will be the requirement of conducting, setting up, executing primary research in the form of a survey, an interview, or observational research. In this chapter, all of these strategies will be discussed in detail. For example, conducting interview research to gather qualitative information, or conducting observational research to understand how people act. Fourth, how can you use your social media in your research? Well, you could post questions to your network and beyond. You could gather anecdotal evidence. Finally, how can you effectively organize the results of your research? Organizing documents and notes on your computer in the cloud, being able to access that information quickly when you need it, and being able to organize it for relevant reporting. Organizing your findings is often by creating questions. Examples and strategies are provided for you here. When it comes to primary research, start thinking in the back of your mind. What kind of social media questions would you ask? Whether it be to the client, to the consumer. Start thinking of this in the back of your mind, because starting next week, we'll introduce the next step to your social media report, and it will be focused on primary research. All right. Let's take a look at the resources and expectations in the modules. Once again, the modules can be accessed in the navigation bar to the left or in the overview, there will always be a link to the module directly, as well as the attendance verification. So in this module of finding and evaluating resources, I have my initial lectures with demonstrating the skills of the 2 required activities of my BCom Lab and Chapter 8 quiz. I have additional information and resources listed for you here. These are great resources to consider and use and will become helpful as we introduce the next assignment in the social media report. However, keep in mind that the current step in your social media reporting of Who Are We is due on April 1st. Remember, the mission and values of the corporation can be copied and pasted as you do not want to paraphrase. You can absolutely comment on what they mean to you or how you would interpret them, but the key is however you report on it, please make sure you list all of the resources used. All right, there you go. This week, it's all about finding and evaluating business information. Have a great week.